Chapter 14: The Spiritual Power Crisis in the Narrow Passage. After a short rest, Mu and Lin Feng continued to search for clues in this mysterious space. After some exploration, they discovered a narrow passage in another corner of the space. The entrance of the passage emitted a faint blue light, as if calling to them. This passage looks rather strange. I wonder where it leads. Mu stared at the entrance of the passage, a hint of doubt showing in his eyes. No matter where it leads, since we're here, let's go and take a look. Maybe we can find a way to get out of here or discover more clues about the secrets of the back mountain, Lin Feng said, his tone firm. The two entered the passage. The inside of the passage was extremely narrow, only allowing one person to pass sideways. The walls were flickering with blue light, which seemed to be composed of a special kind of spiritual power. Mu reached out to touch the wall, and a cold sensation came over him. At the same time, he sensed an inexplicable restlessness in the spiritual power. As they went deeper, the spiritual power in the passage became more intense, almost forming a substantial spiritual power mist. Mu and Lin Feng had to circulate their spiritual power and form shields in front of them to resist this powerful spiritual power pressure. Suddenly, a spiritual power barrier appeared ahead, blocking the passage. The barrier emitted a strong blue light, and countless runes seemed to be flickering within the light. These runes intertwined to form a complex formation. This barrier looks quite tricky. What should we do? Lin Feng frowned, looking at the spiritual power barrier in front of him. Mu observed the runes on the barrier carefully, trying to find a way to break it. He recalled the markings he saw in the cave, the runes in the spiritual spring, and the arrangement pattern of the floating crystals. He found that there seemed to be some subtle connections among these runes. Lin Feng, these runes are somewhat similar to those we saw before. I think we can try to break this barrier according to the patterns we discovered earlier, Mu said, a thoughtful glint in his eyes. So, the two began to study the arrangement and changes of the runes carefully. After some efforts, Mu finally discovered the logical relationship among the runes. He used his spiritual power to touch the runes in a specific order. When he touched the last rune, the light on the spiritual power barrier flickered a few times and then gradually disappeared. We did it, Lin Feng exclaimed excitedly. The two continued to move forward. However, not long after, a large number of spiritual power spikes suddenly emerged in the passage. These spikes grew rapidly from the walls and the ground, stabbing towards Mu and Lin Feng. Mu and Lin Feng quickly exerted their spiritual power to form shields around their bodies to resist the attack of the spiritual power spikes. The spiritual power spikes hit the shields, making a ding-ding-dong-dong sound. Mu noticed that these spiritual power spikes seemed to attack in a certain pattern, and their rhythm and frequency were constantly changing. Lin Feng, pay attention to the attack rhythm of these spikes. We need to find the pattern to get through, Mu shouted. While fending off the attack of the spiritual power spikes, the two carefully observed their attack pattern. After some exploration, they finally found that there would be a brief pause every time the light of the spiritual power spikes flickered 3 times. When the spike's light flickers 3 times, we'll rush forward, Mu said. When the light of the spikes flickered 3 times again, Mu and Lin Feng seized the opportunity and rushed forward quickly. They shuttled through the gaps between the spiritual power spikes, avoiding the continuously growing spikes. However, the spiritual power spikes in the passage were becoming more and more numerous, and the attacks were getting denser, making their progress increasingly difficult. During one evasion, Lin Feng's shield was pierced by a spiritual power spike, and a bloody gash was cut on his arm. Seeing this, Mu immediately moved closer to Lin Feng and used his own shield to block the attacks for him. Lin Feng, how are you? Mu asked anxiously. I'm fine, keep going, Lin Feng gritted his teeth and said. The two supported each other and continued to struggle forward in the face of the attacks of the spiritual power spikes. Finally, through their unremitting efforts, they successfully passed through the area filled with spiritual power spikes. At the end of the passage, a huge stone door appeared. The stone door was carved with exquisite patterns depicting ancient war scenes and mysterious spiritual power rituals. Mu and Lin Feng looked at the stone door, their hearts filled with anticipation. They knew that behind the stone door might lie the key clues to the secrets of the back mountain.